Miami Hurricanes won 78-73 over number 24 Louisville, advancing to the semifinals of the ACC tournament, where they will face number 10 Virginia tomorrow night. Miami improves to 25-7 on the season. Just did a really good job of avenging their loss in their last game against Louisville. You know, they lost 92-89, gave up a season high in points, gave up a season high in shooting percent, and they were just much better defensively. Had a chance to talk with a lot of the players in their post-game, locker room access after the game. I already posted videos of that, so definitely check that out. It's great being at this event where they allow, the post-game, the access into the locker room. So great talking with a number of the guys. And look, they just talked so much about their physicality, which, with where I was sitting, I'm sitting directly behind the Miami bench. And just being that close to the action, you're able to see even more. I think the biggest thing is being able to see so much stuff away from the ball. And when I talk about the physicality of this team, look, it has to do with a lot of different things. It's not just about rebounding or blocking shots, or which they did a great job of in this game, but they just do a really good job of making things difficult, whether it is fighting through screens or the extra hits if a player runs across the middle on the offensive end. Miami guys, and it's not just Ernest, you always think about that defensive presence, that center, but up and down this lineup, all the guys, they're very physical. Trey Donaldson really made things difficult for Ryan Conwell. He does, have a good scoring output, but 8 for 20 shooting, 1 for 10 from 3. And Shelton also, another physical player, kind of switched off and went against Ryan as well. And Ryan and a lot of the Louisville guys were doing a really good job of getting to the basket with dribble penetration, using their speed and quickness against Miami, which was doing its best to really, force them off the three-point line. Look, Louisville made 12 three-pointers. That's their season average. They made 12 three-pointers last game, and that's their season average, which leads the country in three-point make. So Miami was doing a good job defensively, rushing them off the line, and when you do that, it does open up lanes. And in the first half, Louisville was able to do that, get to the basket, backdoor cuts, whatever it might be. And I do think that that's just not Miami's strength in terms of, when you face a team with that speed and that quickness, it can kind of break them down. And Louisville was able to get off, have some good spurts in there. And then where things really turned in Miami's favor was that 10-0 run to start of the second half. That kill shot there, really gaining momentum, and that kill shot, shout out to Evan Miyakawa with coming up with that phrase. And that's really what it was. It got Miami out in front. They were trailing at the time. The 10-0 run, and Malik Renew was a huge part of that. Scored the first 7 points of that run. Another huge performance from him, 24 points, 18 of them in the second half, just coming up big. But that stretch right there, hit a 3, made a shot, a couple free throws, and then it gets capped off by a huge dunk by Dante Allen off a steal by Trey Donaldson, and Dante goes in for the dunk. And I did ask Dante about that dunk. He was certainly excited about that. That moment. He said he hasn't had too many dunks this year, so that was big. So 10-0 there. And then, Miami just stayed out in front. They just kind of stuck to their game plan. They did a really good job, again, sticking to their identity. Talk about the physicality that you see, but just, getting downhill. That was one of the messages during one of the timeouts. Jay Lucas, I'm able to kind of hear, I try to listen in to the coach's message to the players. That's how close I was. It was great. But I definitely heard the point of emphasis that Coach Lucas had to his team about getting downhill and that's attacking the basket. And they are physical on that side too. The offensive end, they talk about, scoring with contact or initiating contact and getting their defender off balance. You think about physicality so much about on the defensive end, but on the offensive end as well with their ability there. So did a really good job throughout the rest of the second half. It did get close, but they made the plays down the stretch. True Washington came up big in the second half. He had a stretch where he hit 3 baskets in a 3-minute span. Then he hit a huge 3 right in front of me, right in front of the Miami bench. That was pivotal, and he just made big plays. He stole an inbounds play, inbounds pass, and just really did a good job there down the stretch. A huge performance off the bench, 17 points out of him, and he was great. And then Trey Donaldson had a huge first half and made some key buckets there. Really did a good job there. But I thought his defense and kind of his tenacity was great in this game. So up next for Miami is the Virginia Cavaliers. They've had a great season. The 2 seed, Miami's the 3 seed. They're going to have that game tomorrow night. And look, this is another opportunity. You don't get many of these to avenge a loss. And Miami's now done it twice. They lost to Florida State, played them again, and beat them in Tallahassee. This game right here with Louisville. And they lost to Virginia. So they're going to have a chance. They lost 86-83 in that one. Certainly, once again, they're going to want to play better defensively. That was one of those games where Miami battled back at the end and then just lost in the closing seconds. So look, with this one, it's a little bit different. Virginia with its style, they've got a couple bigs, but I think with Miami, they just have a really good understanding of who they are, what it takes to win, understand the scouting reports, and I think that's going to be big once again. But they're excited to play at this time of year. These veterans understand what it takes, and I think Miami's definitely got a shot, and they've really got a shot at winning this thing. And you're looking at the other side of the bracket with Duke, but it's halftime right now, and Duke's down by 1. So we'll see how it plays out. But when you watch this Miami team, as I've watched them all season long, one thing, I saw it again today, they just have this relentless pursuit of the game, whether they're down or they're ahead or just their playing style. They just keep coming. They just keep playing with a lot of tenacity and physical play, and I think that's big this time of year. And with just, even if you're down, if they find themselves down or, whatever that might be, they just keep coming. They keep playing, and I think that's impressive. They essentially don't go away, and you're going to have to really beat them and make things difficult for them. And look, they're going to do what they do. They're going to be physical on both ends of the floor. They're going to try to get downhill. They're going to try to get to the free throw line, try to stay out of foul trouble. And but they've been fun to watch, and certainly I think they've got a good opportunity. It has been good being here in Charlotte, here at the Spectrum Center, the home of the Charlotte Hornets. So that's been good, and looking forward to a great environment against Virginia. But again, this team keeps winning, 25-7. This is great. They've got a chance to keep on going. So looking forward to seeing how they play against Virginia, and asked all the players their thoughts about facing Virginia again and kind of the keys in that one. So I'm going to write something up, so definitely stay tuned to the website, but check out those interviews, those post-game locker room interviews, which was great. Check out the channel for that. Definitely want to thank everybody for watching this video. Thank you for support. Have a good rest of the day, and take care.